All right, so I have these two beautiful pork shoulder butts that I purchased at Costco. It's two in a pack, so this is not one big pork butt. And each one probably weighs about 7 pounds. Yep, so I love using the Costco brand because they have really good quality for the pork butts. And to get this started, we're going to use some brown sugar. It's about 2 cups. And we're going to use about 1 cup of rice vinegar. We're going to mix this in really, really good because this is what is going to go onto the pork butt. Now, remember, I'm only going to cook one pork butt. So if you're going to be making this mix, I'd probably say you can use a little bit more sugar and rice vinegar if you're going to use a bigger or two pork butts. And it's going to give it a really sweet, tangy flavor. Now, the taste of this before you put it on the meat is going to be different than how it tastes on the meat. So if you're expecting a tangy flavor to your pork, you're not going to get it. You're going to get like a borderline teriyaki type flavor. Not as sweet, but it gives you that hint of sugar. And this pork butt is a boneless one. So there is no bone in there. I do prefer on most cases to use the bone in just because it gives a different texture to the meat. But when it comes to boneless, you're going to get a really, really good result out of this. So you just put it all over the meat, top and bottom and sides. You're going to use all of the sauce. That's right. Look at it. It hangs onto the meat really, really well. And it's just going to give it that nice coloring. It's going to give it that nice flavor. And it's going to give you messy hands as well. All right, so I'm going to wrap this baby up in some saran wrap, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. That's right. It's going to sit in the fridge for 24 hours. You can let it sit longer, and just make sure you rotate it, so that way each side gets to sit in that sauce. And as you can see right here, it clings onto the meat really well. Look at that color. Look at it. A nice marinade that's going to give some great, great flavor. As you can see in the coloring, that brown sugar took to the meat really, really well. All right, so what is the next step? The next step is letting this baby hit about room temperature because right now it's ice cold. And I don't want to throw this into the smoker while it's hot, while the meat is super cold. So I'm just going to let it cool down just a little bit. All right, and we're going to go outside and we're going to put this baby on the smoker, and your smoker is going to be at 225 degrees, and we're going to let it smoke for about 5.5 hours. So that meat can hit 160 degrees, and we're going to use our meat thermometers. So this first thermometer is the Traeger thermometer that's built into the smoker, and the second one is my wireless meat thermometer by Grillaholics. I love this thing. It's great, great, great. And I have it set for pork, well done. And you can customize the temperature on the meat thermometer by Grillaholics. In my case, it's at 160. So we're going to put this baby on here and we're going to wait about 5.5 hours. And 5.5 hours later, it's dark outside and I'm taking this baby off the smoker, turning the grill temp up to 275 degrees. And I'm wrapping the meat. That's right. So we're going to wrap the meat. We're going to throw it on the smoker with the temperature at 275 degrees. All right. So I'm double wrapping this because I want to make sure all that moisture and juice stays into the meat, and it goes back onto the smoker for about 3.5 hours until it hits 190 degrees. All right, the meat has reached 190 degrees and the total cook time was about 8.5 hours. So here we go. I'm going to let it cool down while it's wrapped so that way all that moisture can go back into the meat, and then we can take a look at it. All right, I'll see you in just a little bit. All right, so it's been about an hour and the meat has cooled down, and look at all of that moisture, all of that tasty grease, and wow, all of that juice. That's right. The butcher paper has held onto the juices really, really good, and I'm quite happy with this. So I'm going to take the juice, I'm going to pour it into a deep dish baking pan. because I'm not throwing this juice away. I'm going to be using it. That's right, because the juice is actually going to go back into the meat when it's cut up. And as you can see right here, there's a lot of tasty juice in there. It's going to have that sweet flavor, that smoky flavor. Delicious. All right, so when it comes to these pork butts, there's different ways that, you can prepare them. Some people like to do them shredded or chopped. And you can see right here, the meat is falling apart. Where the bone would be at, that's where it's separating at. Now for me, I like to use my smoked pork for different dishes. So I like to break them up in big chunks because sometimes I like to have them in a sandwich, like a hoagie type sandwich. And sometimes I like to have them, on a salad, or I like to have them with some type of stew-like. So I can take these chunks and mix them in with some pinto beans and some tomatoes and have a really nice pork stew. But yeah, you get the idea. Some people like to chop up their pork. In this case, I'm chopping up some of it because this is going to be really, really good on a chopped pork sandwich or even on a salad. It's all up to you. How big of chunks do you want your pork to be, or how small, And all of this pork is going to go right into that juice. It's going to go right in there. It's going to absorb the juice and it's going to give it some more flavor. Look at it. Smoked pork. Delicious. All that juice going right back onto the meat and it's going to be amazing. That's right. So another thing some people like to do, and me as well occasionally, I like to use my bear claws, and these ones are from Grillaholics. And I like to put in a little bit of work. I like to shred the pork. That's right. Give my hands and arms some really, really good exercise. This does make it easier, though, for people out there that use forks or tongs to separate their pork. The bear claws do work really, really well. So it's shredded. This is going to make an excellent pulled pork sandwich. Totally up to you. Like I said, your choice on how you like to prepare your pork. But when it comes to the end of the day, it's all about the flavor. That's what it is. It's the flavor. This has a nice smoke flavor. I used a mesquite wood, and the sweetness and the smoke, delicious. Now, if you want a salty sweet, then add some kosher salt to it. Sprinkle it on your meat either when it's marinating, or you can do it right before you do the cook. Remember, the results of the salt play different when you put it in the marinade versus if you put it on the meat. All right, that's it. Go cook some. See you on the next video. Bye.